Hello everyone. So once again, I'm here to present my fifth and final article for presentation under Module 2, Marriage and Family and Related Issues. The title of the article that I'm going to present is Improving Child Welfare in Middle Income Countries, the Unintended Consequence of a Pro-Homemaker. This is written by Misty L. Higgins of the Department of Applied Economics in the University of Minnesota. So this article will basically talk about the effects of divorce towards the welfare of child. So the first part of the article will always be the abstract. So this study identifies the impact of access to and the speed of divorce on the welfare of children in middle income, largely Catholic country. Using difference difference estimation techniques, the author compares school enrollment for children of married and cohabiting parent households before and after the legalization of divorce. Implementing homemaker divorce laws increased school enrollment anywhere from 3.4 to 5.5 percentage points, and the effect was particularly salient on secondary school students. In this article, the author also provide evidence that administrative processes influencing the speed of divorce affect household bargaining and investments in schooling. When contemplating development policies, advocates, policymakers, and leaders should not overlook the impact changes in family policies and administrative processes that can have on advancement in child welfare and ultimately in economic development. So that's the abstract of the article. Now we will proceed to the introduction of the article. It says implementing development policies focused on improving child welfare can be expensive and consuming and sometimes ineffective. This is very true in many countries. This is really true if the intervention is countrywide and focused on major activities like building infrastructure, purchasing supplies, or developing advocacy groups. Now, after almost a decade of intense national debate, the Chilean Congress passed a revised Marriage Act in 2004 because again, some countries are not adhering or not not do, implementing policies or enacting policies directly addressing issues on divorce. So what is this act? So this uh, act, aggressive in nature, included a requirement that breadwinners, mostly men, provide an economic compensation to homemakers, almost um, those left at home. All majority are women, and equivalent to lost wages incurred while engaging in home production during the marriage. So in this paper, the author studied the impact of two changes. First is the introduction of divorce with economic compensation and exogenous variation in geographically local wait times to finalize divorce. That's the short introduction of the article. Now let's proceed to the methodology of the study. What are the methods being used in this article? I'm quite surprised that the methods used in this article, I am not really that familiar. First, he used household bargaining methods. So what is this household bargaining method? So this paper assumes a standard household bargaining model, such as developed by Mansur and Brown, McElroy, and Horney, and in which individuals with the household bargain based on the power or resources they hold. So a change in individual resource control shifts household investments towards the preferences of the individual controlling the resource. The rest of the section will focus on the application standard model, relate extensions to the case of Chile, and describe the difference in difference estimation methods in context. So I haven't provided the structure of this method, but in this article, uh, the author uh, provides on how this particular method is being used. The second method that the author used was difference in difference estimation. So a difference in difference approach with panel data can generate unbiased estimates of the impact of policy by comparing over time the group that experienced the policy change treatment to a similar group that did not. So there are two kinds of uh, research participants in this particular article. Those participants who are called uh, treatment, and I mean the controlled and the uncontrolled group of participants. And the third method that the author used was modeling with times. So for wait times to be a valid exogenous source of variation, individuals should not be able to manipulate wait times with their own behavior. Aside from that, the married individuals cannot manipulate or change the communa they divorce in. The author also motivates this argument by examining other potential factors that influence wait times, dividing them into three major categories. First is overall family court case volume, propensity for divorce cases, and environmental characteristics. So there is also a particular model provided by this author in her article. So modeling wait times is basically the author suggests is that when the particular child should engage into schooling, should should he basically wait for the legalization of divorce or not? And lastly, the method that the author used was regression models. So since the binary dependent variable, children's school enrollment is a variable indicating 1 if the child is in school and 0 otherwise. All estimation equations are estimated using a linear probability model, logit, and probates. So again, this particular method in her article was also shown in a particular uh, structure. There is a really a model shown reflected in her article. Now let's discuss the data, uh, the type of data that this article has provided, or where did the author got her information data for this article. So first, she got the data from Inquest Study Protection Social. I think this is an existing agency from where the author conducted her research. So the author used panel data from Chilean Inquest Study Protection combined with administrative records on divorce from Chilean Supreme Court. So the EPS data used in this study come from three waves of the survey from 2002, 2004, and 2006, and follow the same individuals and their representative households over time. So since the original intent of the survey was to collect labor and social security pension fund data. The first wave is nationally representative of all individuals who contributed to a public pension fund. So a subset of school-age children whose parents were married or cohabiting over the sample time period is constructed for the main um, analysis. The second source of data is the administrative records on divorce. So in partnership with the University of uh, Chile Center for Microdata, the author acquired administrative records on divorce through a special request to the Chilean Supreme Court. Electronic records on divorce cases were only available for urban areas. So, therefore, an analysis using length of time to finalizing a divorce was limited to children living in urban areas, around 70% in the sample. So the court administrative records include divorce cases from October 2005, 2006, and containing basic information about the type of resolution, start date, and end date of each divorce case with each respective family court district. So those were the sources of data of this particular article. Now let's proceed to the results of this article. So on the result of this article, the author categorized it in three to four particular topic. First is validating the parallel train assumption. The rate of enrollment is similar for both groups before treatment. Differences observed are not significant. However, after the legalization of divorce, cohabiting parents' children continue to decrease enrollment while children from married parent families do not, providing evidence that support the use of difference in difference method for this analysis. So for the clear uh, explanation of this result under validating parallel train assumption, the author provided some uh, table and figure for the interpretation of result. Second is the effect of access to divorce law in schooling. So legalizing divorce increased school enrollment by 2.4 percentage points. So this is also a corresponding table figure provided by the author in her article for an easier interpretation of this particular result. Third is the effect of wait time in schooling. So the fastest commune average wait time to finalize a divorce is 85.9 days or around 3 months, and the longest average wait time is 674.4 days, almost 2 years. So that's exactly the problem if the child will need to wait for the result of the legalization of divorce before he or she enters studies. So now let's have the conclusion of this article, what was being concluded out from the data that the author gathered. So attempts to analyze the effects of divorce on child and family well-being are challenging due to selection bias and indigeneity issues. The author take advantage of unique natural experiment to advance her understanding of the role family policies play in economic development. So in Chile, a society comprised of strong gendered family norms, access to divorce with economic compensation shifted household bargaining power into the hands of married women. A middle income, largely Catholic country, introducing a path to legal divorce induced changes in household bargaining that led to improvements in child welfare, advancing economic development through higher investment in children's education. And finally, the author concluded that the future study should examine difference in short run versus long run effects, uh, given finding of the long run effects on child outcomes and work showing the long run decreasing impact of unilateral divorce on divorce rates. So that's all for this article. Thank you so much for your time in listening. Once again, I'm Ricky C. Arot, a mind student, major in social science. Thank you so much.